So let's do this now. Let's get a look at this pitch and see if what is that is missing, and if the way that it was introduced in the pitch does not fit the purpose, doesn't support the fact of building the credibility and that the capability of having a solution for that specific market. So I'm going to start from the beginning. Everybody, we're going to look at it, and then we're going to think, you guys, what do you think if there was something missing? And by the way, important, this is not a place to shame in any way the person that was on stage, right? Because it's tough. Because there is a lot of work, there are a lot of people involved. So saying, oh yeah, whatever, that she did like that, or oh yeah, he did like that, that is really not the intention of being here. It's really about having a constructive conversation about certain things could be improved from our perspective, because also not having her here would make it impossible to verify if our hypotheses are correct or not. Okay, so I just want to be very clear, because this is not the intention of this. Okay?
Thank you. Full screen,
My name is
please.
Emily Joly. I'm the CEO and co-founder of Ape Lab. Spatial computing is changing the way we interact with the world, and our mission is to train the next generation of XR makers. We're creating Zoe. Zoe is an immersive creation platform dedicated to the classroom.
Yeah, I can hear
Today, we're using really old teaching methods. And with spatial computing and immersive technologies, we have the opportunity to really change that and make learning a lot more intuitive, creative, and basically a lot more fun to avoid this type of
Yeah, you might have to
situation.
change some settings on your...
This is Grace.
Yeah, sometimes if you refresh, maybe change some setting could work.
She's a young girl who participated into one of our programs this summer. At the end of the 4-day workshop, she came to me very emotional. She couldn't believe what she had been able to build in such a short amount of time. Even her parents called the school afterwards to say thank you. And I think this is what we want kids to feel when they're learning something new. Here's a short video of what her and the teammates were able to build in about 3 or 4 days.
Already contaminated. You determine to turn it into a biological habitat.
Hello, my name is Antela.
Did you say virtual? Did you say virtual or
Virtual reality. Augmented aspects of reality.
So how do we actually integrate XR creation as part of a pedagogy? So we're working with educators to build an experience and several tools that they will need to teach their classes. Things like being able to see what the kids are doing inside the headset simply from a mobile device, being able to create classes, define project goals, also integrate evaluation, find resources, or simply ideas of activities to do with the kids. And further down our roadmap, also a marketplace so they can share their knowledge to other peers. Here, I have a short video that's showing exactly how Zoe works. You can see that this is a student. She's placing assets around, assets that she created herself. And now she's able to visually program her whole experience directly within the headset. So she can add behaviors to her assets and literally building a whole experience from scratch without having to code anything and just basically throwing behaviors at models. So how do we compare to other creation tools? A lot of creation tools out there are focusing on 3D modeling or animation, and Zoe's value proposition is in the visual programming system that we've created. We've built it over the last 5 years. We've used it also internally a lot. And we plan on adding some 3D modeling or animation features to Zoe, but we prefer to be compatible with the ones doing it the best. So, for example, Sketchfab or Google Blocks will be directly accessible within Zoe. Regarding a little bit about the market, so these numbers come from the Global Education Market Research. They predict that AR and VR will take a small chunk of the edtech market by 2025. In my vision, if computers are being replaced by headsets in the future, by some form of headsets, then that chunk will probably grow a lot more and might even take the whole pie here. So what's our strategy right now is to work closely with our hardware partners to bundle Zoe and sell it into a subscription model directly to school districts. To kickstart that plan, we have selected a few schools to do pilot programs with. We're going to start them in January. Those schools are both in Europe and in the US, in the New York area. This is my team. My co-founders and I were interaction designers. We've been working with immersive technology for quite a few years now, interested in mixing storytelling with immersive tech. We are an award-winning team. A lot of our content went all over the world, and all of them were built using our visual programming interface. And we've been also extremely excited to see that creators, designers, teachers out there took our tools and started using it very, very largely when we opened a beta, and now we have more than 1,000 people using this around the globe. And we also have a stellar group of advisors, VR, AR folks, but also EdTech. And we're also lucky to participate in a program called Our Lab right now in New York. New York has more than 1 million students. We're doing this until December. It's a great place for us to grow our solution. We also participated in Vivex in San Francisco and raised a seed round. And we're getting ready to raise more money in the next year as we do the pilots. So if you are interested and you believe in our mission, please come talk to me.
All right, thank you, Emily.
Okay. So, this was the pitch from Emily, Ape Lab. Now, was there something that you guys felt, yeah, that, let me just do one thing. Oops. Let me do like this. Let's go back here, maybe. Right. Yeah, let's see. So, was there something out of this stuff that you felt was missing? And if we exclude the why not, right? Why not, we said, was something that was more or less a reminder that had to be built during the talk. But was there something that you felt was not there? Yes.
I actually felt there was a lot missing, but I think it's because they've already raised money before or something.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know, maybe she didn't feel the need to cover a lot of those points.
What do you say was the thing that, the top thing that you missed? And then maybe there were other things, but
a lot. I mean, starting from the beginning, like paying opportunity. Okay, she went in a lot about the product.
Traction as well.
Traction was missing. There's a lot missing.
Yeah, exactly. So that's one of the things that I felt was it was there, but was kind of like not said. Right? It was the traction. Who else had a similar impression?
Yeah, I had a similar impression, but I just feel that it's not the pitch that helped her team to raise money. I think it's this was after to speak about the company.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. And this is something that indeed, and that's tricky, right? Because this, we cannot know what she wanted to get out of this pitch, right?
Exactly.
Because I can guarantee you that Andrei was there were other investors in the group. So that is a place where you could actually start conversation to start raise money. So, but maybe, as you said, that was not her intention, right?
It didn't come across like that at all.
It didn't come across. Yes, I agree. So I wanted to spend a couple more seconds about traction. What was the traction? The way that she showed traction. What was it? Thousands users. Yeah. That was.
She mentioned also platforms that she collaborates with.
A bit louder, Andrei. Sorry, the microphone.
She mentioned also other solution providers that they work together, that they're partnering, like Tvori. Unfortunately, I missed the first part of the audio, but I remember the pitch and I saw some visuals.
Yeah. So she mentioned also the partners that she encountered. Let me see. So she mentioned the partners. she mentioned this, right? So we are running pilots with schools. That's great. That's amazing. I mean, I think that's great. But
Indeed.
then why not make a map of the world, or maybe something like a focus on a map of Europe and North America, and see how many schools they are piloting with,
True.
right? I mean, or how many students into the hands of how many students this solution is gonna go. Because if it's 10,000, that shows like okay, right? That is actually a form of traction. The fact is that also they have raised money in the past. So that is in a way also a form of validation, right? And that was not clearly like stated. There was also here, they're working with partners, right? So Oculus, Google, Vive, Magic, so they have already hardware partners that are doing this with. And also like the people, thousands of people using it, great. What do they do with it? Because if you just say, yeah, they're using it, but what does that mean? Can you give... And this also is a bit of a storytelling aspect, right? Because if you say, hey, after we opened the beta, 1,000 people used it. Okay, how do you tell a story about it? So then the way you tell a story, for example, could be something like this. And here I'm guessing, right? I don't know what's the story, and that's why it would be great to ask questions. That's some of the things that I do, is really trying to discover what is the value behind. But in the case, she could have said, well, we use this internally for several projects, and that's the moment that we decided to open it to see the other people. Unexpectedly, we saw a reaction that was really beyond what we could think. We see that thousands of people, and they started creating this. In the US, they created this. In Europe, they created this. In this school, they use it for this. And we saw that was the moment that we actually had a market. People were interested in. And that's the moment that we started to really build on it. And you know, so this you start making like a bit of a storytelling. Yes, Marco.
So for me, kind of elaborating on the why initially and the problem this can actually solve would have been a setup to then elaborate on the impact later on, right? So if you,
yes,
does that make sense?
Yes, absolutely. And what happened is that you saw that the first thing she did was this is the problem and this is the solution. But what happened if you don't build up a bit, right? If you don't build that bridge, then you lose an opportunity, because the value of the things that you're going to show is not just dependent on the value, but also on the journey that you went through in order to be there, right? So if you just say, hey, this is the solution, this is how it works, then that's a missed opportunity.
That's
right?
boring.
Exactly, and that's about how the selling, you call it marketing, pitching, story, that's also building a good story. It's part of the thing. Please, Yangosh.
She also didn't mention how she kind of dreams of the future, or where the company is headed. So she didn't give us that hook on trusting her to move forward.
Yeah. So what's going to happen after this pilot? Very good point. Yeah, that is a very good point. So I believe that she had traction, right? She has thousands of users. She said she has pilots running in different schools. So put it organically in there and maybe spend a bit less time. And that maybe could be something that I want to ask you about, showing how the product works. How did you feel? So she showed 2 videos, right? There was one video for the first one saying this, so here is how this is what people build, right? And it was like a little of, it was well done in a way. I don't know what specifically she was trying to show, but the idea was there, right? Okay. And then she...
Flaky, though.
Sorry?
It was flaky, the explanation.
Exactly. So there was nothing. So there was no explanation, right? This is the point, because I believe that there was something going on, some things that she wanted to show. For example, probably here, AR. She wanted to show something that is not silly here, involvement of other people beyond the kids. I feel like, and I might be wrong, but this is not to neglect also, because when you get parents involved in activities like this, that's also, I think, what could be valuable. And then on top of that, she showed...
Quick question.
Yeah, sure.
How do you... So if you get the chance to actually present then you have a way to tell your story. But often or how the process was for us is that you send a teaser deck up front. How do you start or plant a seed for a story that you're telling? Because sometimes it's a bit hard to tell a story if you just have a PDF you send out.
Yeah.
Is there some sort of experience values you have?
What you can do is that you can try to do different things. So I would put a link to a YouTube video that maybe is unlisted during that specific deck at some point. And also, in that case, I would always write as a title or in some part of the slide, without overcrowding with text, but there, what has to be the takeaway from that specific message. So in this case, I would say in this case, if there was a video that you send on a deck, I would say like a form of education that span from VR, AR, and engage their parents, right? Families, engage the families. Right. If that is specific takeaway. Now, I'm not sure that this will be the case, right? But just it has to be on what is the take-home message from that specific video. Okay. Does that answer your question?
Thank you.
Okay.
Yes, thank you.
And then there was this part, right? It was where she mentioned about the interaction, visual interaction, and how that works. And you can just, without coding, throw logic at objects, and they behave in a certain way. So how did you feel about the demonstration of the product?
It was terrible. The actual demonstration wasn't good. We just saw kind of clips. I kind of guessed what was going on, but it wasn't very detailed.
Any idea from this side?
Haven't seen it, sorry, just joined the room.
Okay, then maybe someone else from this side?
I felt that it wasn't very clear, and she didn't give us something so that we can imagine of what could be done with this product either. Like,
yeah.
What is the software actually about? What's the idea of it?
Yeah, it's about visual programming for students in VR. Does anybody knows? And this actually brings me. That's a very good point. Does anybody know Scratch?
Yeah, that's like a. Sorry, I'll let you finish. There. Sorry.
No, go. If you know what it is, maybe you can explain.
I believe it's like a programming language for kids.
Yes, and it's visual where you put blocks and you do.
Yeah, you put blocks and.
Yeah, if you do this, and that happens, or this falls. So it's kind of like coding at the beginning and teaching those principles. And of course, VR could be a very powerful tool to do that.
What age are you looking at then to try and aim something like this at? Because in the market, there's quite a lot that's out there already.
Sorry, can you repeat your question?
What age are you kind of aiming this at? Because the market is quite flooded with stuff already.
Yeah. Okay. First of all, this is not my product. This is just someone that was there presenting it. I think it's K2. I think it's K2, so elementary. So elementary school, so from 6 to 12, something like that.
This product is kind of like Scratch for VR.
Yeah, right? That's a good point. And this brings me also to another point. And now I want to do one thing. I want to go to a question that an investor there asked. Okay, it's just here. We're going to listen to the question, and then I would like to ask you why you think the investor asked for that question. Okay? So it was, I believe, here.
During the presentation, I've seen only...
Wait.
Okay, so I'm going to come to Jay for one quick question.
Thanks a lot, nice presentation. One question. Is a collaboration mode included? I mean, during the presentation, I've seen only kids playing around alone. The last slide, we've seen two persons in one imagination.
Yes, definitely. So we already have a version, like a beta version, where you can connect the headsets together. You can see each other. The teacher has the tablet. The teacher can kind of watch what everyone's doing. So everyone is kind of in the same room.
How many can be in the same room?
So far, our prototypes have been like maybe 5 people, but that'll probably grow. And our goal is also to have a way for kids to do presentations like they would do at when they do labs at the end of the year. They would do like a maker fair. So we want to do maker fairs in VR, things like that. So this is only just going to grow with the platform.
Okay, so they can support each other within a lesson, something like this. How is the progress kind of documented of these children?
So with the schools we're working with, and also with the hardware partners, when we're building those pilots for next year, and so we know we have some benchmark that we want to hit also with the teachers' curriculum. So this is going to be a collaboration with the teachers in the school, and make sure that we have a program that can be then integrated by the Department of Education. Even certification for teachers is something that we're working on.
Great. Thank you, Emily, and let's welcome up Vivid Q.
So, what do you think? Why? And it's not bad, it's not good. Just open question. Why do you think Jay asked that question? I have my own opinion, but that doesn't mean that it's right. It's just mine. Do you guys have any idea? Simon.
Yeah, because I believe that multiplayer experience in VR are very important because you can quickly find yourself lonely. So it's to build together or to collaborate together in VR is something very important.
That's a good point. And why? VR player ready? You can tell me maybe, or what's your impression?
And also from a kind of teaching perspective, it's very important to be able to kind of handhold the student through their, I guess, kind of learning experience. So maybe a teacher might want to be in on the experience with some other students as well.
Good. Now, let's try to do one thing. Let's try to kind of like elevate the level of this consideration a bit higher, right? He's an investor, right? And he want to see, is this person, if I give her 500,000, 1 million, am I gonna get more money back?
Indeed.
Right? I mean, that's all it, right? So why he would ask that question to her, right? Because let's try to get in his head.
So I guess that the teachers are the ones deciding whether they're going to use that and therefore driving adoption. I would presume that the teacher would want to have a certain proximity to the students.
A certain control on the students, a certain way to track the progress, right? And this brings me to one very key point. Who is the economic buyer for this?
Schools.
The schools.
Yeah.
So what is the benefits to the schools?
To have less teachers? I don't know.
I don't think that will be the case.
Well, a remote teacher maybe. A remote teacher.
Yep.
Could be. But you see that is a question that we haven't got answered. To which the investor was trying to understand what is the value of this to a school. Because this is my feeling, right? I might be wrong. But if you look at it, this was always, the whole story was from the perspective of the kids, of the users, right? Yeah. But as a matter of fact, users are important, right? Because I'm not saying that you should forget it, but there is always two levels, or at least in B2B, there is always two levels. There is the economic buyer, and there is the user. People focus very, very often on who is going to get their solution in hand. But what is the benefit to the actual person that is going to buy it? Now, I wanna do another little experiment here. You remember here what she said, right? She said, oh, in fact, and I can't believe I created a VR experience by myself. So what she does here is that first she talks in third person, and this girl came there and told me that she couldn't believe what's so. This third person. And now she said, and actually, the parents called the school to thank them.
That's right.
What does that mean? That if parents like it, they are going to recommend it with their friends. That more people, oh, look, this school is super innovative. Look what they're doing. Look what my son have done for a school project. And they show the AR app that they built.
Yeah.
Right?
Good point.
So the point is, let's always think about the difference between the user and the economic buyer. Because the economic buyer is the one that is going to shell out the money, and if there is no benefits from him, honestly, fuck the user.
Fair enough.
I mean, sorry guys, but this is business, right?
Yeah, it's business.
I mean,
True.
unless there is a bigger cause, right? And unless there is a bigger purpose, right? If there is a bigger purpose, then if it's for humanitarian purposes, climate, because you feel good about things, fine.
But you made a really good point there, actually, and I didn't think about that.
And that is something that happens very often. Trust me, when people pitch, they pitch for the user, and very rarely they
That's
pitch
a
for the
very
things.
good point.
Yeah.
You know what? That's a really good point. I've never thought about that because you always assume that the person buying it is the user.
No, location-based entertainment. Tell me, does the user use it? No, he doesn't. Right? He doesn't pay for it. I mean, it's not the one that is gonna pay for the setup of the big thing. Right?
Yeah.
Who it is the one that managed the arcade. To that person, what you have to show that people come back, because that people can have a quick turnaround, right? So we have a flow of 60 people per hour. Okay, 60 people per hour. How much is it? 10 euros. 10 euros. 60 people, 600. Well, I can work with that. Can you guarantee? Then you get what you want. You get the opportunity to talk to that person. And show them how what you said is actually possible. Right? You say, look, our solution doesn't have glitches. Our solution, we come there, set it up, and you forget about it. It just works. And people love it. Look, the amount of share that they got with their friends. People come back, look. And then you can say instead for hours, and these are the games that we built. And this, like, honestly, the arcade guy doesn't care about the games. As long as people come back and I have a good flow and a good people, a number of people, then that's what I want.
Yeah.
So in this case, this was a bright example, like the most vivid one, where there was kind of like this disconnect, and I believe that there is value for the school. I'm absolutely not saying that's not the case, but it was not there. And consequently, also, what is the problem for the schools? Yeah. There is a problem for students that they are not engaged, true, but how does that problem translate into a pain for the schools that might need to look for another solution? Okay? So really, really, really think about the economic buyer and the user. Those are totally different. They both have to be in the talk, but that's one really thing that I think it's really important. Yeah. Is there anything else that you think that was missing, or what do you think about the team?
The business model, maybe, because I don't.
Good point.
No, it was $7 per user.
Yeah, but this is a good point.
To me, that was the pricing and not the business.
Can you guys hear me?
I would actually agree with you.
Hi.
Yep. Hey.
Yes.
Cheers. I didn't realize RiftS had a mic built in. Pretty cool.
Amazing, yeah. Technology. Good. Yeah.
So, what are you pitching?
I am not pitching. I'm trying to help people pitch better.
How to pitch.
Excellent.
So
Sorry
we
to
were
interrupt.
no problem. So we were discussing about you mentioned this is pricing. I agree. That's a good point, because then the point is, what are you gonna sell? Is it a subscription? Is it like the kids that are gonna use it, or there are thousands of students. What does it mean that you pay for every student that is at school and then you give 10 headsets? I mean, is that the way it's gonna work? I don't know. I believe that these have somehow figured this out. I believe, but maybe that needed a little bit of iron out, right?
I think this would also help explain adoption, right? So how, for example, how do they handle the hardware? How would they bring that to the school? There's a lot of logistics involved with VR still. So that's one problem she didn't touch upon at all.
Yes, yes. I mean, schools, right? Schools are one of the most traditional. They can tell you whatever they want. I mean, they might have whiteboard stuff. Okay, right. But it took 20 years to have a whiteboard, a digital whiteboard in the thing. Imagine a VR headset, who's going to maintain it, and all these aspects, right? But this is a good point, because it might be that they haven't figured it out. And that's okay, but that's why they're running the pilots, right? So you can address it, you say, and we know that in the school things are going to be different. That's why during our pilot, we are going to take care about this, test this, look this, and look at that. And that's like, okay, fine. They have sorted it out. They thought about there is a plan.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, because I noticed they had a Vive and then they had a Quest. So
very good point. That is
would be more practical, I think.
That is a very good point.
Otherwise, you have to maintain.
Of course, you just have 5 minutes, right? So let's be also pragmatic. You cannot say everything, right? So it's a matter of sitting down, ironing out the story, see what has to be removed, see what has to stay. So building a pitch is a process, right? It's not just, okay, no, we have to say this, It is about a lot of prioritizing, see what are the important things. So it's not something that you just do in half an hour.